All right, welcome everyone, and thank you all for joining us here at today's session with our two aviation experts, Andre Valera from Above and Jonas van Kruchten from AirQ. Today, we'd like to address interesting topics. So definitely why a next generation content supply chain is key to improving the digital passenger experience on board. And we want to talk about the role of collaborations in general within aviation with regards to innovative solutions for the aircraft cabin. But I think before we dive into the topic, let's find out a little bit more about our speakers first. Perhaps, Andre, would you like to start? Could you give us just a short introduction about yourself?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm Andre Valera. I'm Managing Director at Above and also Director of Business Development at Touch, one of Above's shareholders. I work in aviation already for 8-9 years. The last 4-5 years in IFE and connectivity specifically. I'm really thrilled to have this conversation with you guys today and of course to talk about the collaboration between Above and AirQ.
Your turn, Jonas.
Hi everybody. My name is Jonas van Kruchten. I work for AirQ, and I've essentially started with AirQ from the get-go after I led the foundation project for AirQ. Currently, I run the strategy and business development department with a big focus on creating a great network of partners amongst industries across different segments. And with Above, we've won one of those great partners. So I'm also very happy to be here and discuss exactly this partnership and all the, let's say, added values it's going to bring to future customers.
Well, thank you for your introduction. My name is Verena Bentaro. I'm the head of marketing and PR at AirQ. I've been working in the aviation industry for 10 years now, and I've always been very excited and curious about new products and services and launching them. So definitely today's topic is super interesting to me as well. Generally for our audience today, if you have any questions or comments throughout the session, we're also happy to talk with you in person afterwards as well. We'll definitely get a chance to connect. So I would say, let's get started. And this leads me basically to the first question. So I think the main question is really the why we're here today. So Andre and Jonas, how about you tell us a little bit about how this partnership got started and why we're actually collaborating with Above.
Gladly. Let me give it a start. I think when I met first the colleague from Above, what was intriguing is that truly there was a joint ambition to innovate in this industry. And that was very striking and was a binding element from the get-go. As AirQ wants to innovate and kind of wants to start from scratch to really look at different technologies, different services and use cases that are truly helpful to customers. And Above was working right down that alley. And the service that was back then in development truly was appealing to contribute to that vision. So essentially with that joint vision of giving airlines more choice, more control, more transparency of what is happening in the commercial aircraft cabin is what truly got us started. And obviously the benefit of that is we want to help airlines improve their top and bottom line through the services we are jointly going to bring to market. That's the airline side. And on the passenger side, obviously, let's try our very best to really innovate and improve passenger experience by being able to develop and essentially tailor products that are much more personalized and intriguing to passengers so they can make most use of their time while being aboard the aircraft.
Absolutely, and I would definitely, on top of what Jonas said, I would highlight that natural fit of both companies and everyone working at both companies. Indeed, when we had the very first engagement, we identified that same vision, both from a business perspective, which of course facilitates the initial engagement, but even from a technical perspective, we were really and still are and will be very aligned on what we need to bring to the market, even from a technological standpoint. We want to leverage this technology to improve customer experience. We believe that the kind of background that both companies bring to the table will definitely disrupt from a technological standpoint what we can bring from a customer experience perspective on board. And and because of that, we believe on key pillars. For instance, data intelligence. It's something that for us it's very important at Above to understand and to manage media. And that is something that AirQ immediately identified as well. So the fact that we have a lot of common ground, a lot of common goals, and also a very aligned vision was pretty much, I would say, Verena, to your point, the why we need to and can collaborate, because indeed we are a natural fit, I would say. And I think, from business to concept to approach to technical perspective, when you have two companies that are aligned on those pillars, you find a good partner, a valid partner, and that's what Above believes to have with AirQ.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think it's definitely important. It's basically the baseline, right? For the partnership or for a collaboration, the partners have to fit perfectly, basically. So this leads me basically to the next question, and I think the audience is curious to know. So how exactly you think you're going to pull this off, and what will it basically take to succeed within this collaboration in order to provide something very beneficial to the market?
I think that's indeed the key question, and of course a very detailed answer would be the holy grail to that question. But we can definitely start with the foundation layers, and definitely one of the things that we will implement together is very seamless interfaces, meaning we will need to rely on standards. So when you're asking us what it will take to succeed, is that alignment of standards when it comes to media management. Because of course Above will support AirQ on the media management component. Of course your product will have much more features, and on the media component we believe that standardization will be a foundation layer for a seamless handover of media files. At the same time, while doing so, we need to do it in a way that we are disrupting the value cost trade-off, meaning we need to do this innovation, but at the same time at a much more cost-effective, in a much more cost-effective way. This trade-off will unlock the success. So the fact that we will bring a more fast media turnaround, error-prone media management process, and a more affordable supply chain across all the workflows of having media on board, that will in the end facilitate and unlock, I would say, the success. And with this partnership, what we aim to do is to bring this value trade-off for everyone in the market. We want to bring solutions that will work with incumbent players, that will work with our peers and partners, with airlines, and at the same time we will be opening new business models and new opportunities for incoming players to the in-flight entertainment and connectivity and aviation ecosystem as a whole. So I would say that if we tackle these elements, we will be able to succeed.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Andre, with everything you just mentioned. So maybe just to add on from an AirQ perspective, together with Above, we quickly saw that in order to really bring that innovation, we need to look at the, let's say, media content, encoding, transcoding, but also integration and distribution process end to end. And we need to step away from, let's say, isolated views or more isolated views of different components of the process, but really work in the mindset of looking at one seamless workflow in the cloud to deliver content to the aircraft fast and at a lot more of an attractive unit economics that Andre already was hinting at. So with that in mind, and as long as we keep that in mind, I think that is one of the key enablers to really disrupting and innovating this overall process. You know, it takes that mindset. And maybe just to add on what Andre mentioned as well, this is an approach that should include the incumbent market players as well. Close collaboration with studios, for example, is super important, with other CSPs, with airlines, of course. It's something that needs to jointly be pushed forward, but we are willing to take these first steps and come up with, let's say, a technical solution that enables this to happen. But ultimately, it's the broader community, obviously, that needs to bring that to life and adopt it in different areas of the industry. So that's what we're working on very much. And last but not least, it always helps to be able to have that tremendous experience from the above and touch colleagues here at the table, essentially combined with the ability for AirQ to work in a very, let's say, agile fashion by starting from scratch. There's no legacy necessarily that we need to tie into the solution we're jointly developing, but AirQ has an open view, and this is where I think Above and AirQ are a perfect match to combine experience with funding and an open view to really develop that next generation process that will improve and help everyone in the industry to improve passenger experience and economics.
Understood. So actually, we're not just talking about the collaboration between AirQ and Above, but actually in a bigger sense with a lot of other players also within the aviation industry, such as studios, IFE vendors, etc. So that's definitely very exciting and interesting, I think. But can you already tell us when will you think that you would go to market with this solution, and how does the service actually really look like? And to add on, of course, I think that's most important, I think, specifically here in this round, can you name the exact benefits for passengers and, of course, for the airlines?
Yeah, let me give it a start on that one. So, so first of all, AirQ's solution overall, AirQ's platform, will see market entry in the 2023-2024 timeframe. And with that, obviously, our approach to media content encoding and integration together with Above will see market entry as well. So whatever AirQ brings to market then is going to be a one-stop shop solution, and the Above AirQ partnership service will be part of this. What exactly what exactly is going to be developed? I think I'll have Andre speak to the more of the encoding transcoding side, and from an AirQ perspective, obviously content integration is key here. So that whole idea of bringing those workflows into the cloud, to having them automated as much as possible, is key to what we want to do. So we're talking about essentially eliminating integration tests on racks, for example, and moving all of that process into the cloud, making that access for airlines, for example, so much easier, avoiding these trips and QCing content on the racks, but just sitting in front of the computer and having full control and transparency of what is happening. That is one aspect to this. Obviously, in order to pull this off, there needs to be a seamless interface with the video content output that's generated by Above. And this is essentially where we see the collaboration really comes into play, right? Because it's not simply Above dropping a video output file onto our desks, and then we need to work with it, but that integration needs to be seamless, so and as frictionless as possible to maximize speed and reduce costs. So that's one of those aspects of content integration that AirQ is going to innovate in. And what we'll see then is a radically improved workflow overall. AirQ is envisaging a 5-day, let's say, 5 to 6 days content delivery from receipt of the mezzanines all the way through, including e-delivery capability, all the way through to actual deployment to the aircraft. So we really want to bring that time to aircraft down and associated cost as well, which then, when achieved, will bring much more flexibility to airlines to really play with that content and have route-based content, for example, and be able to curate content based on different personas, for example. That is something we were hinting at before. So maybe just to conclude, Verena, you asked about ultimate values that the solution is going to bring, and that is really to achieve that targeting and increase passenger experience and associated capabilities to generate data and ultimately monetize that engagement. And that is possible based on the technical solution we're jointly bringing to market.
I totally resonate with what Jonas is saying, and in what above is making available, and I will go into the time to market perspective. But what above makes available is also a one-stop shop platform. But of course, for the early steps in the media journey, when it comes to the curating the experience, going through the actual media management perspective from a library point of view. Up until the moment, of course, there are triggers to send media to the aircraft. So essentially, Above works as a cloud-based machine to manage media assets and everything that goes with it, like metadata that will populate AirQ's user interface. Above solution is already servicing. Above is, I would say, as a result of a product that has been around for over 4 or 5 years and has been established last year as a serviceable product to the whole market after a successful proof of concept over those 4 or 5 years. The single one-stop shop platform allows for media encoding to be done much faster, in a much more secure environment, and in a much more cost-effective way. We are talking about, in terms of when comparing to the benchmark of our industry, up to a 10 times savings, so 10 times factor savings when it comes to encoding and processing content, and including all the necessary protection, quality checks, watermarking that are involved and required by studios when it comes to media management. So in the end, it's an holistic platform to manage media. But of course, we can do all of this at the above side and automate as much as possible and put together a frictionless and I would say very easy platform to manage media. But at the end of the day, if we have everything ready to deploy on the aircraft, and then, as Jonas was saying, we hand over files and drop them somewhere, and then someone needs to go from there, we are not fulfilling the full, I would say, potential that this kind of technology allows for. So in the end, what we will do with AirQ, and that indeed will go to market in 2 years' time, it's actually a seamless process end to end, like Jonas was saying, in a way that Above is not doing what it's already doing in the entire market, which is process content and then hand over content for IFE platforms. With AirQ, we will have a seamless platform that will reach the aircraft pretty much. And the airline will be able to control what they want to show to their passengers. They will be able to upscale business models and introduce other sorts of media like advertising solutions and other monetization strategies and manage that through a single platform and see the result on board. And the fact that the airlines will be able to do that and manage that through a single interface, and the fact that they will be able to get verified quality checks of what's happening via cloud-based platforms, that is only achievable if there is ownership on the end-to-end process from, okay, I have this media file, I have this movie, and okay, I have it on board. And of course, AirQ identified that need with Above, and Above having the technology and the means and being responsible already today to gather those media assets and process them. We got, again, that natural fit, right? We are very much aligned on what needs to be done, and we believe that together we will have this competitive edge of bringing faster media on board, more relevant media because of course, the time sensitiveness of the process on board. We will be able to do this in a much more affordable way, meaning we will unlock new business models, we will steer budget that the airlines have today for this technical process into something else, and we will be able also to provide more control and flexibility. So Verena, you were asking in the end, what are the airlines and passenger benefits? So indeed, that improved experience because of the relevance of what we are bringing on board in a much more timely fashion. And for the airlines, the ownership, control, flexibility, cost effectiveness. In the end, it's so many things that I believe the other element is surprise. We will be able to surprise ourselves and unlock new business models because we are disrupting, bringing new technology, and this will unlock new things. And of course, as Jonas was saying, and we also identify ourselves with that AirQ vision, giving control to the airlines and giving a platform that airlines will be able to use to manage their goals will unlock the airline's vision. And sometimes, again, it will lead to a positive surprise. So we want to give that control to the airlines and yeah, so in the end, that's the what, and that's what we want to do.
Well, thanks for the detailed explanation. That was really interesting, definitely. I think, but since, I mean, you've been talking about seamless integration, an end-to-end process, of course, giving more control to the airlines or back to the airlines, perhaps. Why should airlines actually pick the AirQ and above solution? Because the question would be, are today's incumbent solutions not as sufficient? I think that would be interesting to kind of benchmark a little bit on where our solution stands compared to what is already out there.
Okay, that's of course a very fair question, and I will give it a go on that. So, what we aim to do together is actually to create something new that we believe by itself will create a solution that will unlock these new business models. But of course, we want to understand how will that work compared to what we have today. And it's easy to showcase some examples. So when it comes to process media, bring media for the aircraft today, for a fleet of, let's say, 500 aircraft, this is a process that is very fragmented. It takes 60 to 90 days from the moment the airline curated and decided on what the media experience would be on board, up until the moment the passengers are actually consuming that experience. So this is ridiculous in a word, right? We are talking about an experience today of media consumption. We all know we have on our, on our smartphones on demand, very, I would say, attached to what's happening right now. So the relevance of the media needs to be, considered here. So the fact that we have a turnaround of 60 to 90 days, we are losing the passenger. We are losing the control of what to do and engage with the passenger. So by creating something that will allow for the airlines to be much more in control and being able to provide an engaging experience much faster, I think that's by itself, before we look into the financials, by itself, it's a huge difference from what we have today. Then, of course, if we're looking at the cost component, and nowadays, and after, of course, the pandemic, cost effectiveness is, of course, paramount for any airline today. And to be able to reduce costs that go, for instance, to give you an idea of more than $500 to have a movie on board, just the cost of technically process the file. We're talking about more than $500. This is something that we simply do not agree. We need to bring a better solution. And Above already does that today. So today we are already providing a savings in the factor of 10 times when it comes to this cost of processing a video file and having it on board. So another element, cost effectiveness. We will be able to do this in a much more affordable way. And when it comes to the seamless engagement between Above and AirQ, the fact that you will be able to put this under control of the airline in a way that could be done via a subscription-based model, that could be done via new innovative business model approach. I think this is something that the airlines will also be keen. It's something that they are not used to when it comes to today's solutions. They are much more fragmented as well when it comes to pricing and services and what you get. So if we unlock a solution that instead of fragmented is centralized, instead of not being able to, the airline not being able to control the processes, they will be under the airline control and totally transparent. And instead of costing 500, it will cost 50. I think we will, it's a lot of check marks that we are adding up here to the list.
Yeah, and if we manage to do that, Andre, not just for the let's say technical services part of the media content supply chain, but for the integration and let's say customer care part as well, from an IFE vendor's perspective, and if we really get that as a one-stop shop solution, I think that's a big improvement. And looking at the values that can come from this is, I mean, let's take an example. After 60 to 90 days of, let's say, content curation, technical services, deployment, etc., we then look at a 30-day exhibition cycle aboard the aircraft. But if we could step away from this, based on let's say much lower unit economics, you mentioned the range there earlier, we can now start maybe to pull low take-up titles and essentially substitute them by titles that maybe get a lot more engagement, right? So we move into more of a, or we could move into more of a slot-based media content management based on a subscription model you mentioned earlier, and changing the entire dynamics of what media content means on board, and really for an airline to really, or much more so, use it as a tool for passenger engagement and catering to different passenger interests. Looking at the future and let's say an increased fragmentation of the airline cabin, I believe we have to be looking at those digital solutions to also cater to different needs. It's not going to be 10 different seatback screens in the cabin in future to define the 10 different classes of within the airline cabin. We'll have to look at those elements of having your seat, having your screen, and then how to tailor that product in a digital fashion to really cater more to those different customer interests. And I think this collaboration here is one element that can truly unlock that potential to address that passenger in a much better and more tailored fashion, to increase that engagement, to have a happier passenger that uses the time more wisely and more effectively, and ultimately also at the same time improve economics. And I think that's a great proposition. And based on your solution, Andre, with above and including that into AirQ's let's say one-stop shop overall solution, I think that's something that is going to be interesting to launch, and looking forward to having these conversations with customers, partners to push this along.
So is there a possibility that you could give us an insight into the actual current status of development? So basically, when is this solution going to go live?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned it earlier. The AirQ platform will go to market in the 2023-2024 timeframe. So that's the go live, let's say, timeframe here of the AirQ platform, and with that comes the integrated above AirQ media content supply chain, as talked about here in the last minutes, and we're super excited to be launching that into the market. Obviously, we're very open and very happy to start more in-depth conversations with partners, customers, as of right now. Obviously, so we're as AirQ, we're very open and also very much appreciate feedback and insight to further improve the overall solution. So very happy to have these conversations together with the colleagues from above as well. So that's the time frame essentially, Verena. And to address your other part of the question, AirQ is very much in development mode, right? And customer engagement conversations. So we're determined to develop our product closely together with customers, using different concepts like customer sounding boards, etc., to really pull partners and airlines into to give feedback. So that is what's happening right now. Development is underway, and the target date for the go live I mentioned already.
Okay, and when it comes to above, above has a live service already. So we are currently serving through our partners around 30 airlines already, and working with more than 100 content sources, so content either studios or distributors. So with this experience, I think this also shows the responsibility of that AirQ and commitment of AirQ to this project. How early we are collaborating when it comes to launch a product that will come in 2 years. We started this partnership and of course the engagement a while ago, and now that we are contributing during the development process of AirQ, I think it shows how seamless and responsible we want to be when it comes to this partnership. And above brings the experience of having a live product, a serviceable market. We are learning as we go as well. Above is not a complete platform or product already. We are, I would say in scale up mode. We will add features. We are also learning from AirQ specific needs, specific, I wouldn't say bottlenecks, but specific items that we need to address when it comes to actually provide a really seamless product end to end from a media management platform and a platform that and a hardware and a system that is on board. And the fact that we are learning that shows you and shows the audience how fragmented the process is today, and sometimes not even us experts and working here this for years have full visibility on what's happening after we hand over the files, and so there's a learning process here as well. We believe that this year and next year for above will be years of consolidation and maturation of our product, scaling up features, co-development with AirQ, and a key goal as well for us in the short term is to increase the footprint when it comes to work with more content sources and being able to spread I would say the umbrella of our partnerships and go beyond these 30 airlines that we are currently servicing, hopefully providing our cost-effective solutions and automation to the whole market as well. This is something that we want to do, regardless of the airline, regardless of what they have today in place as their digital platform. Above is able to work with everyone, but of course the competitive edge comes with what we are doing with AirQ when you go, up until the moment the media is on board. So I think this is the current status that we can give about us, and we're growing, which is interesting to see month by month in terms of media being processed through our platform, in terms of number of partners that we are working with. So we see a lot of adoption, which in the end is validation, and we are bringing this to the partnership with AirQ.
Yeah, and Andre, maybe just furthering, I really liked your idea of learning, right? I really like that, and essentially this is what's happening with our partnership here over the next month, right? We mentioned it before. It's not simply integrating the already live and existing above solution into what AirQ is doing, but it's really that collaboration over the next months to come that show us, right, through learning and joint understanding of each other's businesses, the gaps in the processes. So what we'll do is have joint development of features to further improve the overall process in the course of the next months, to really give it that edge over a, let's say, simple or straightforward combination of above solution and an integrator's, let's say, media integration processes. That's exactly what we're not doing. We're trying to continuously learn and develop the missing puzzle pieces to then arrive at a solution that's jointly more competitive, yeah, versus an integration of standalone services. So I had to picked up on that learning aspect that really triggered something here, because that's what's so interesting and makes this process really really fruitful. Yeah.
And I think that was a really great summary. Actually, I think that's eventually the essence of collaboration as well, right? If the partners are not learning from each other, how will they actually, make the product grow, make the service grow, and make it successful for entry into service? Well, I think we could actually continue like this for much, much longer, and you could endlessly talk about the details. But unfortunately, we have a bit of a timestamp here. So I would actually like to take the opportunity to definitely thank you both, Andrew and Jonas, for these interesting and innovative insights into the solution that we want to offer for a next generation content supply chain, and your collaborative efforts to really sustainably change the aviation industry, also specifically in these challenging times at the moment. Yeah, and of course, a big thank you to our audience today. And if you're thinking that I want to know more about this really intrigued me, I'm really interested, then definitely take the opportunity, contact us on the virtual AIX platform or via our website or on LinkedIn. I think these days there are many, many ways to contact Jonas and also Andre directly or myself. We're very much looking forward to the exchange. So I would just like to say, have a nice day, take care, and goodbye.